mayor of Artesia is here.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, we're a little wind blown.
Yeah.
We were up on the roof of the press box at Lovington last night for the doubleheader and looking straight into the wind that was just blowing in from the south. And in spite of the really high winds, we saw several home runs hit out of that ballpark last night.
Well, good for that. So, and you saw some exciting on the pitching apparently. So
600 strikeouts.
What an amazing accomplishment. That is. So, what was the record? Obviously 599 or?
Well, that's what we presume.
Right. I mean,
because if 600 is
broke
the new record,
I'm assuming it was. Yeah. So, well, good for her.
Yeah. What we didn't know for sure, because we weren't told that. We were told, or we were of the impression that was a school record.
Right.
But the announcer at the stadium last night said that it was a 4A record, a state 4A record. I thought, well, that's interesting because there's been 4A and then there's 5A and then there's been 6A and then it's back to 5A and we were in 3A. And so I don't know if they break it down by that, but maybe they do.
Yeah.
But regardless, it was it's a record.
Yeah.
And
I wonder what that is. What is that, an average a year? I mean, that's an incredible amount of, because didn't she start, or wasn't she on the team in like 8th grade or something like that?
She did play some in 8th grade. So that'd be 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So that'd be 5 years. So even if you just did 5 years, 600 divided by 5, that's 120 strikeouts a season. But there was one season they didn't get to play.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. Her number would be way better.
I had 6,000. So now let's take it 4. So that's 150 a year. And then one of those, and she doesn't pitch every game.
Sure.
And they play on average 24, 25 games plus the playoffs each year. So if that's 150 a season and you divide that by 30, let's just say that's a minimum of 5 strikeouts a game.
Wow.
It's still a heck of an accomplishment, however you boil it down.
Well, and I know my daughter's excited because she's in Baylor right now, and I know that's where she's headed. So there'll be 2 Artesians that we know of in Waco. So
that's right. That's right. Waco. That's how you say it. I always thought it was Wacko, but
well, that's what I always said. Then Taylor went, and I had to change it because that offended her. So
well, they're not the only people I know that are in Waco. We have a consulting engineer that's done some work for us, and he's from Waco.
Oh yeah.
And what did I read? I think Steve Martin is from Waco, Texas.
Really?
I think so.
That's interesting.
Which I wasn't aware of that till recently. The comedian, actor, Steve Martin. Steve Martin. Let's just see if I'm wrong, which I've been known to be. Let's see. He was born August 14, 1945 in Waco, Texas, U.S. So
well, I'll have to let Taylor know.
Yeah, that he's also from, I don't think he lives there now.
Yeah, but have to let her know they're from there. See, that school's pretty cool the way they do things. I was telling someone the other day, I mean, they really help you understand the history. They do a lot of cool stuff in Baylor. So hopefully Randall will enjoy it as well because it's a beautiful campus, beautiful place, and I do know that they love their Bears. So it'll be
kind of like home.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yep, kind of like home. She'll leave here and go to another school that just is nuts about sports and.
Good.
So good for her. What a cool accomplishment. Artesia should celebrate that so much. Because I wonder how old was that record? Did you say? Does anyone know?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
I don't know how long.
It's got to be old. I mean, come on, 600's that's pretty impressive for all levels. So
that's right.
Good for her.
One of the things that we were laughing at, or I was making Joby laugh, in Lovington, they started doing between games, and then in the second game, they started doing trivia questions.
Right.
Former athletes, trivia questions for Lovington. And he'd ask the question, and I'd holler out, Brian Urlacher. And Jovi would laugh, and I said, isn't the answer to every athletic trivia question from Lovington Brian Urlacher?
Right, yeah. This is a good guess. That's what I would do. That'd be the bet I would take.
But none of the answers to the questions that they were throwing out there were Brian Urlacher. So
really?
I guess they've decided there are other record-setting athletes that have come from Lovington.
Well, very good.
So, but not being from there, I just isn't the answer to everything Brian Urlacher?
Yeah, yeah.
But I was wrong.
Yeah.
So, well, let's. City Council meets last night. So.
We did. Yeah, we had a great meeting last night. I thought lots of things going on. First thing we kind of did, not first off, but one of the big things we did last night is recognize the three past gentlemen that have left the board. So Kent Bratchett, Terry Hill, and of course former Mayor Ray Miller. We presented them with some plaques for all their years of service, and wanted to make sure to thank them, and I want to make sure to thank them again today. I mean, there was a lot of years of service put in. I think I can't even remember all of them. Kent was maybe around 12-ish or so. Of course, Ray this time was 4. Of course, he's been on city council before. And I can't remember Terry Hills because he's been there forever. He was a very long-serving counselor, put a lot of dedication. So the years, you add them up, it became a bunch of years real fast. And we just wanted to make sure we appreciated all their service because it's, some people might think it's an easy job. It's not. It's a constant job. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication. And so when y'all see those gentlemen out there, just remember to thank them because it was, they did good. They tried hard, did great, and tried to move the city in the right direction.
You could take Kent or Terry, for that matter. Terry maybe more than Kent, and make them the honorary city council historian.
Right,
for the city of Artesia, and that way, whenever any of the other councilors or you as the mayor how did they used to do that, or what did they used to do, or how was that done back in the day, you could call one of them up and
absolutely. I told all of them. I said, y'all better be-answer your phone because sometimes we'll have questions just answer. So, and they've all agreed. So that's very helpful. But yeah, we're lucky. I mean, it doesn't matter if you agree with everything everybody did or not. They worked hard and did what they thought was right for the city, and I appreciate it. Being an elected official, knowing what you go through, I appreciate all other elected officials for what they try to do and put in. So that was one of the big things we did. I was real glad to do that. Glad to see them. They were all three there. Got some good pictures with them or of them, not with them because I'm not very photogenic. They removed me most of the time. So so hopefully y'all see that out there. And like I said, please remember to thank those guys when you run across them. Another thing we did, apparently there's going to be a Memorial Day race at JC Park. We did approve that, contingent upon proof of insurance. Looks like they're trying to put a little fun run type thing together. So hopefully there will be a lot of information out there about that. Looks really neat. All those are, you see them all over the place. A lot of cities are having them, a lot of counties, cities, all kinds of places. So hopefully that'll get people excited, have something to do that weekend and get you moving, get you exercise. And of course that's always healthy, right? So it's always
supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, yeah. I keep doing it and it doesn't seem to be changing me. So I'm confused on what I'm doing wrong, but smart people that know how to exercise seem to do a lot better. So
that's right.
Let's see here.
Now, has the council, have they already approved or that's not on city property, so never mind. Different. I was going to say the Guns and Hoses softball charity game, but that's going to be on school property. That's going to be at Brainerd Baseball Park. So that wouldn't necessarily come before the council.
Yep.
Are you going to be on one of the teams as a celebrity softball player?
No, I think they probably saw my softball playing skills and I didn't. They instead have asked me to be in a dunk tank type thing. So I get balls thrown at me in different ways. So now that I think about it, I'm really not sure how I feel about this. So.
Well, I'm sure they went to the police chief and the fire chief and they're like, no, you can have the mayor. No, you can have the mayor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I have a glove. I mean, I'm not that bad. I could have. So I don't know. Lots of great stuff. We did have an audit report last night. We get audited every year. Counties, cities, all of them get audited. We was unmodified, which is the best you can get.
Okay.
So city should be real proud about that. That's really important to continue to have those. Make sure that our finances are taken care of. There were 2 findings from last year that they've already been working on, and so I feel real good about that. One of the really cool things last night is the chief of police kind of gave us information on how they do audits with their what am I trying to say? How did I lose the word?
Audits with their...
Darn it. Word is completely gone. When they find stuff at a crime scene.
Evidence.
Thank you. My gosh. I don't know what happened there. But I was looking at your coffee cup trying to think, what would I call it if I found it at a crime scene?
Coffee.
Yeah, call it coffee, yeah.
I'm having to help
Apparently.
people like Joby last night. He was trying to tell me about something, and he said, "What's that? You can see through it. What is that?" I said, "Window." And he said, "No. What is that? Transparent?" Yeah. That's it. So I'm helping people, and I'm having trouble with stuff myself now. So.
Something's going on. I don't know. That word was gone. But anyway,
they audit.
They audit their evidence. Yeah,
Okay.
so they do that a couple times a year, and then they do big audits. So it happens a bunch. But he went through the whole process, and really interesting how they do it. Apparently, it's been recognized statewide as a great way that we do things. So again, when y'all are out there, remember, police don't just enforce rules. There's a lot of behind the scenes that they have to keep up with. Obviously, evidence is really crucial to cases for a really long time. So it's not like you can say there's a shelf on some of this stuff. I mean, some of it's there for a really long time, and they keep track with it, make sure it's in the same spot, make sure. So that was good to hear. I was glad to hear all the reports. Lots of reports last night of folks helping us understand what they do, how they're doing it, and what's going on in their department. So I was real proud to hear all that. Of course, Budget and Finance Committee, we've met a number of times. We should be putting together the budget pretty quick. It's due next month, right? Yeah, next month. It's still April. It's due next month, so we've got a couple more meetings to wrap that up, but we've been working really, really hard on it. I think we found some great stuff to really help some things move forward. So we're excited to see that. We've talked in the infrastructure meetings that I was in. We talked a lot about recreation and some things that maybe we can try to do to spruce up parks or maybe add some things to parks or things. So we're working hard on that. I know that was a big question, big concern during the campaigns and for the last couple of years is, hey, we need things to do. So, enhancing what we already have and then adding to a little bit is something that we're really working on, trying to get that going. So that was in the infrastructure, which was great. And that kind of ties into recreation as well. Police and fire did have a meeting as well, that committee. Kind of the stuff we know that we need to help them get manned up. That's kind of a problem you see across the state, across the country. But I think we've got a good plan in place, and hopefully we can execute that and get that going in the right direction. So,
well, you mentioned that, and you mentioned the budget process that you're going through right now. One of the campaign issues was pay for first responders and so forth. How is that being discussed, or how's that coming along? That
I think it's coming along. We're working really hard on it, trying to figure out how to get some things accomplished. Like I said, I think we're going into our fourth or fifth budget meeting with that committee, and I know that's been a big push to try to figure out how do we make sure that we shore up some of these things that we have to have in place that we're really hurting at the moment. And what do we do? So hopefully we'll get a lot of that put together and thought through well. I think we've already been thinking through it well. We've got some more work to do, but I'm confident we're going to get somewhere. So we're going to get somewhere.
Right. And when the budget process is going on, how's things look for the budget? The city going to have plenty of revenue for what it wants to do, or or are there any concerns that are coming out from the budget meetings, looking down the road?
I think what our concerns are, and what a concern I've had for a while is our GRTs don't really grow. They've stayed relatively flat for a long time. I mean, if you look at the last 10 years, there hasn't been a huge, you can see a big down obviously during Corona, but you take those years out because they're obviously different.
And then you had the impact from the
and you have
being built
different
and the
impacts, and
turnaround.
so we really got to understand that. But if you take those anomalies out, it's kind of flat, and it's been for a long time. And what really the problem with that is costs don't go down.
Right.
They're continuing to rise. Obviously, we see that everywhere. So we've got to figure out a way to grow that GRT, to grow all those property taxes without adding new taxes if we could. So, the big focus is how do we get developers in? And then that was a big thing we talked about a lot during the campaign is how do we get developers in here to build houses? We know we need houses, and it's not just to have another house. It's to bring that workforce in, hopefully, so that we can get more restaurants, more stores, more fill in the blank. It doesn't matter, but it's hard to get more restaurants when we really don't have a workforce to work at those, and or even another. If a major manufacturing company for some reason wanted to come in here, our workforce
who are the workers
probably is not the one they'd be looking for. So we really have to shore up that housing to make sure that we can start moving in the right direction, bringing people back. I mean, everybody says it all the time. You see that Roswell Highway every morning and every night, cars coming in the morning and leaving at night, and a lot of them want to be here. Now, we have incredible schools. It's an incredible town. I'm not knocking other towns, but I think ours is way better. And I'm okay saying that. And they want to be here. It's a beautiful place. And so if we could start pulling them back, and so when people get excited to and hit me up for, hey, we need a fill in the blank, some big box restaurant or something. Okay, that's neat. But then you're just going to be frustrated because a month after they open, all of a sudden, the service is terrible. Well, it's not. It's just the servers that are there, the ones that showed up and they're working hard.
Yeah.
But they can't get enough.
Of them.
Yeah. So I remember in college, I worked at a sit-down big chain restaurant because I had to. And, man, I think there was like 26 people on each shift. I mean, when you take cooks and expos and waiters and waitresses and bartenders and that's a lot of people if you look at it. And we're already struggling with that. So we really got to understand how we're going to do it. But we've got to, as a city, figure out how to grow it because, as I say, our costs are going to continue to go up. So we've got to make sure we're at least matching pace or exceeding pace so that we can put some aside after that. And I think that's going to be our big focus for the next couple of years is how do we get this town moving in that direction and quit staying so stagnant as far as our GRTs. So and it's a concern. I mean, we have to do it. It's not a it might be fun. I mean, it's no.
Well, it kind of goes back to the old Walmart debate before Walmart came to town.
Right.
You had certain people that didn't want Walmart here, and then you had certain people that were all in favor of Walmart being here. But the reality of it was, when you looked around town and people were unloading stuff out of their vehicles, it was all from Walmart, and they were buying it in Carlsbad, and they were buying it in Roswell. So the city of Artesia was not getting any of that gross receipts tax revenue. So that was one of probably the biggest selling points for having the Walmart here, is to retain some of that money. So I guess that goes to follow that if you have more houses and people are living here, because right now, if they hop in the car and head back to Roswell, they're going to eat in a Roswell restaurant. They're going to spend their disposable income more so in Roswell locations than they would be if they lived here.
You're exactly right. And we did a leakage study probably 10 years ago, and what that shows is exactly what you just said. So, the problem with all those folks having to come down here to work, they get their paycheck here, and you're absolutely right. They go back to Roswell or Carlsbad and eat in the restaurant, shop in their grocery stores, shop in their stores, and then come back to work. But they're not spending money here. They're spending money at home, obviously. So so it's a huge loss, a leak to another city that we really would like to retain here and help folks spend their money here. But even the folks that don't, those folks might live in Roswell, but even look at the folks here. I mean, every day, folks are going to Roswell to go to Sam's, to go to Target, fill in the blank of all these places they're going. And
you run into half of Artesia on Saturday in Roswell.
Absolutely. And while they're down there, and while they're down there, they're
guilty.
Spending all their money. And so we would like to be able to help those folks not have to go that far if they didn't want to and be able to shop and spend here. But we've got to correct this front problem first, because there's just, before you get those, folks aren't going to look at you until you have a workforce. So really important to focus on that. And I think that's going to be one of our big focuses over the next couple of years, just to try to correct that the best we can to start growing some other industries, hopefully.
Well, and it benefits, too, because then you have more students for the schools, and that creates economic activity in and of itself, and do that.
Yeah.
Okay.